You are in the rant wormhole where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Talcon, who says, to rant about humanity has declined. I warned him that I recently talked about the show in my 2 weeks review podcast, but he didn't care. He wanted to hear about it anyway. So Humanity Has Declined is a really unique and interesting show. It's sort of, I guess I would call it a dark comedy or a parody or even satire, maybe on some level a deconstruction of storytelling tropes, but it takes place in a future where humanity has been basically like a post-apocalyptic future, but not the type where it's like all desert, the type where just society has regressed back into an earlier state. And there are these little creatures called fairies that are like the next stage of evolution, basically. But they reproduce extremely fast. They live off of like just little bits of sugar, and they can do practically anything. Like they are extremely industrious, but they're also like basically all sociopathic. So they there's the main character who's just unnamed. She just goes by Watashi. She is a mediator between humans and fairies, and it's all about her weird experiences with the fairies. Each arc is like a 2-episode mini arc, exploring just the weird shit that she gets into with these fairies, and some of it is a hell of a lot of fun. The first couple episodes are like very weird and kind of mysterious. You don't know what you're getting yourself into quite. The show meters out like its explanation of what's really going on very slowly. The arcs are all told out of sequence, so it takes a while for you to put together the full picture of what's going on. But Watashi is a delightful character. She's very snarky, very sarcastic. She is easily bored, doesn't really like people, spends most of her time just kind of thinking about how everyone around her is a moron or a pain in the ass. But, she also gets herself put into situations all the time because she's not so great herself, necessarily. It's just kind of about her finding herself in weird situations and having to think her way out of it and work with these fairies who, could basically do whatever they want to her as they see fit, but she can sort of manipulate them because they have simplistic minds, even though they are like hyper intelligent in like a dictionary kind of sense, and they're really adorable. The show just has such a unique tone and flavor to it. It's a very distinctive visual style. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of its visuals since it's like weird Photoshop filter shit all over all the backgrounds, but like the uniqueness of what goes on. Like the second arc is about Watashi and this other girl starting a whole BL doujinshi industry that takes the world by storm. And because it gets so exciting that the fairies get involved, they trap the two girls inside of a manga where they're in like a giant white space, and they basically have to act out panels in order to progress to the next space. So they have to just like create a manga with their own bodies, essentially. But like, because the fairies are the editors, they have to like try to appeal to the editing staff and like make sure that their audience numbers stay up. So it's kind of like a parody of like a Shonen Jump's whole polling system and shit. It's really fun. Every arc is very different. Some of them are less interesting than others. There's one arc that's about this pair of robots who I won't spoil what their true identity is, but it kind of felt like it was something that would have made more sense in the original light novel, and like maybe the script didn't have enough details of the story to make it completely make sense because it was kind of confusing. But then there's other arcs that are really fucking trippy and crazy, like one where she gets stuck in this time loop where she keeps experiencing this same day because of the fact, like, she's basically being sent back in time, and like the fairies are trying to amass a giant group of hers, like just like a bunch of different versions of her all in this location because they want her to keep baking sweets for them. But like the way that they're manipulating her memories to make her not catch on to what's happening makes the whole thing a total trip. I'm kind of in a way spoiling some of these arcs because again usually the way it leads you in is like you don't really know what's going on at first and then you slowly figure it out, but yeah, I like the show a lot. I think it's super creative, love the main character, love the dialogue. I think it's a lot smarter than most anime scripts that you're going to come across, so highly recommended, as I have done before, in my 5 anime worth watching right now or whatever. So check it out if you haven't.